Hey everyone, thank you so much for hopping on the podcast today. Really appreciate it as always. When helping financial advisors explore different options out there in the marketplace when they're considering breaking away, there is a ton of time spent on finding the right firm, making sure clients are happy prior to resigning, making sure that the transition process is as organized as possible, and making sure they have a clear and concise message to tell their clients, either in person or on the phone. But a place that's very commonly overlooked is a financial advisor's website. After spending so much time finding a great firm, a lot of financial advisors out there simply launch a templated website that, in my opinion, just lacks a unique look or custom ability to really help a financial advisor tell the story and talk about the uniqueness of their firm and really let it shine through. And in my opinion, helping over 1,000 financial advisors transition from one firm to another, the difference between an okay marketing strategy when you're launching versus a top of the line one could really be the difference between average client retention and truly amazing client retention. So today we just plan on digging a little bit into what a top of the line marketing strategy even looks like. So today we have on David Roberson. He's the founder of Azella Advisor, a company that offers custom website creation and ongoing marketing support for financial advisors. David, I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. This is great.
Yeah, I appreciate it. If you don't mind, before we get started, I think you have a pretty unique story. I think most firms out there in the industry, they either are really good at launching websites and don't really have a lot of experience talking with financial advisors and helping them extract the value, out of their firm and putting that on a website, or they're marketing specialists that work with financial advisors all the time, but don't really specialize, in building websites. So can you just talk about, your company and kind of how it came to be?
Yeah, no, totally. I'll start out by, going into a little of my background. So my background, I did not start off in financial services at all. Actually, I never wanted to be in financial services. I always thought of it as like this boring industry. And I started my background working for some of the large marketing agencies here in Kansas City. So that's where I got my initial understanding of marketing, the foundation of marketing, and one of the biggest things I learned in the marketing landscape was the power of branding, right? When you get that brand right, you kind of mentioned it, right? Like telling that story, that's very foundational, right, to the business. And so I spent, 10 years marketing and other industries outside of financial services, which I love because outside of financial services, a lot of less regulations and compliance, right? And so you get to really push the envelope to understand the tools, the technology. I actually got started in the financial services working for DST Systems here in Kansas City, heading up their user experience for their advisor products. And then I started working for the mutual fund store under Adam Bowl, which was then acquired by Financial Engines and then acquired by Elderman. And there I led up the digital team, working under Adam Hostetter, the head of marketing. We work with, you name it, the smart assets of the world, the Dave Ramsey's of the world. So we had a really big understanding of what it took to market for a financial advisory firm, right? And then that shift kind of happened when, Elderman came into play, was what does it look like to market the individual advisor? And so for me, that's when I transitioned out and founded Azella, because one of the things I realized is that the relationship is with the advisor, right? It's hard to say, right? It's not with the big firm, but the client spends so much time with that advisor. They built that relationship with the advisor. So when that advisor walks away, right, a lot of time that business is walking away with the advisor. And so that was when that light bulb went out for me was I've always wanted to clean up the internet and I want the internet to look better, right? And financial services was just one of those industries that just wasn't doing it whatsoever. So yeah, that's kind of how Azella got started.
I love it. And that's great experience because some of the firms that you mentioned that you work for have some of the biggest lead generation
Yes.
out of any firms in the industry. So that's some really great experience to bring to advisors when they're building their marketing capabilities out. But, David, I know you help with website launch and also ongoing support. We'll definitely talk about that. But I mean, in your opinion, working with as many advisors as you have. We're working on a few advisors together right now. I've heard, really great feedback. Like, what's the difference between, just an okay website and launch strategy versus a really, really good one?
Yeah, so I think the best way to kind of dive into that is to go into when I first founded Azella. So when I first founded the company, I had a handful of advisors who came to me. They knew my experience at the mutual fund store and financial engines, and they were like, "Hey, we broken away, and we need your marketing expertise and your support, right?" And the deal that we had in that beginning phases was, I want the feedback from your clients, right? If I'm helping you, like I want to understand what your clients are saying about your website, what your clients are saying about, finding you online. Like, what does that experience look like? Right. And from all that feedback is really what helped us hone in on what mattered the most. And it's exactly what you said when you started the podcast. It was like getting that story and that brand right and tying it into everything. And so we spent the past 4 years really building out our own proprietary quiz that our advisors take. And when they take that quiz, what we've done, we've defined these four different archetypes for all of our advisors. It used to be about 18 different archetypes, and over the years, and working with hundreds of advisors, we really were able to hone in and narrow that down to like there are certain types of advisors that exist. Right. And when you get that really narrowed in, it makes it easier to say, okay, now that we know you fit this bucket of this is the type of audience that you're going after, what should that brand look like for that audience? Right. Think of, the McDonald's of the world. They use certain colors, the reds and the yellows, right? People don't really think about those small, subtle psychology things are to attract people to food, right? Burger King uses it, Wendy's uses it, right? Because they know that there's a color psychology that goes into that. So
Yeah.
we spent ton of time focusing on brand and getting their story right. Why? Because that was a lot of the feedback we were getting from our beginning clients that came on board, and just hearing what their clients had to say and not being able to find them online was the second most important thing, right? So when that advisor breaks away, you know what they do? They go on Google, right? And they want to understand your move. What are you doing? Like, who are you moving to? Oh, you started your own firm. Let me check out your website, right? Let me understand your values, your mission, and all of those things, not just something that was cookie cutter, but that sounded a lot like them as an individual when they worked together.
Yeah, I love everything that you said. And I mean, I've been through this before. I mean, I had a financial advisor. He moved from one firm to another. He called me up, told me what he was doing. I probably would have moved with him anyway, honestly, because
Yep.
I already had that trust and relationship because we worked together for so long. But I mean, immediately what I did, he was on the phone with me, and I Googled to like take a look
Yep.
and see what his website looked like. And it was, customizable. He had awesome launch videos on there, like talking about the story, talking about why he made the move, like why it's beneficial, talking about like the meaning of his brand name. And it was just extremely clear to me through his process. And I always tell financial advisors this as well, make sure throughout this process that your website shows this was really, really thought out. It
Yeah.
wasn't a, spur of the moment decision, and just give them the feeling that they're joining something, really, really special. And you're not going to get that with just a canned website.
Yeah, well, and the challenge and something that I found a lot of times, the advisors make the mistake of thinking the bigger the website, the better,
Yeah.
right? Right. And so they'll go, buy an over the shelf type of website that has like hundreds of pages of content. But the reality is those your initial clients, especially during a breakaway, they're not navigating all of that, right? Like that's not what they're going after. It's not what they're trying to figure out like during that breakaway, during that transition. And so it's so crucial to make sure that you're really hitting on those pain points of your clients, right? During that transitional phase. I get thinking long term, right? You're going to need the content, you're going to need all these things, but this is just one of those key components of less is more, right? And you don't want to over distract your clients either. We've learned that through user experience studies where the clients, navigate to the website and they get distracted by this thing, and now they're not actually taking the action that you intended for them to take, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like pretty much every financial advisor, they have their elevator pitch down where if someone asks them, hey, what type of value, do you bring to your clients? What's your value proposition? They can say that. pretty easily. I might be wrong. You could disagree with me if you want to, but I remember when I launched my business, I had so many things that I wanted to say on my website, but like you said, I couldn't fit it all. And we didn't work together on our website, but the person that I worked with, they just did a really great job of kind of going through a quiz with me and talking about like all the ways that I help, the value, all the different things that I do. And, she
Yep.
had the marketing experience to be able to say it in like the simplest way possible. And from my
Yes.
experience, you do that really, really well.
Yeah, no, totally. And I mean, going back to your question about the other things that what makes a good website, right?
Yeah.
At the heart of it, so I started out as a designer, right? And that's why Azella is like really so strong in branding. That's something we're very known for, right? And I remember I would create all these beautiful websites, but nobody could find them online, right?
Yeah.
And that's because they didn't factor in SEO. So there's a lot of, website builders out there or good designers, but understanding and knowing SEO is something that's crucial, right? That was one of my biggest roles at Financial Engines is actually building out and expanding, the SEO and, driving assets under management through SEO. And so if you don't have that SEO when your clients are going to search, they may see your competitor or they may see somebody with a similar name coming up first, right, over you. And those type of things create brand confusion
Yeah.
as well.
For sure. 100%. So kind of just walk through the steps in terms of, how you help an advisor do this. Like first off, David, I don't think a lot of financial advisors even know that you can go outside and have a website. They go to a firm, they pick from a
Yes.
couple different they have a couple different templates, or maybe they have like a few preferred website
Yep.
providers like an FMG Suite or something like that they can use. But at pretty much any firm out there, you have the ability to build a custom website. So if they have the option to work with someone like you, can you kind of just walk through your process in terms of like how from like start to finish, what it looks like?
Yeah, no, 100%. So with all of our clients, everything starts with the brand first. So once you come on board, you would take our proprietary quiz. And through that quiz, we'll take those results and we'll prepare them for what we call our deep dive meeting. Our deep dive meeting is usually a call that's, 45 minutes. Sometimes it goes over because those calls can become very exciting. We can learn a lot about your business during that call. And the purpose of that call was really for us to dive in to understand who are you as a business? Who is your team? Who are you targeting and how do you service your clients, right? And from all of that information is how we start to dictate what your brand actually looks like. And when we talk about your brand, we're not just talking about a logo, right? We're talking about something so much more than that. All of your colors, the type of fonts that you use, and making all of those things accessible to you. We have our own proprietary portal as well for our advisors, and we found this to be very valuable. Where at any point if they want to access any of their print materials, we have their email signatures are built into this portal. Everything that they could ever need, their print, their business cards, all of that stuff, they can go in our portal, order that stuff right there in the portal to make it easier to have their brand ready package for their breakaway. We once all of that is done, we start working on the actual website. So once we have like a blueprint and a framework of this is the who you are, this is what you're about, your vision, your mission. We also do all the heavy lifting for you. You don't have to worry about content. We don't use templated content. Again, the content is very specific to you, your business, your brand, how you service those clients, and how you show up as a business. And once we're done with the website development and building, we also go out and claim all your social media handles, right? So again, a lot of times that's challenging for advisors, right? We work with a handful of, Edward Jones advisors where their accounts are being monitored, right? And so they can't go out and just start spinning up, a new LinkedIn account or new Facebook accounts, right? So we take care and we set all of those things up on your behalf so that when that transition day is ready, all those things are there in place for day one.
That's awesome. What about launch videos? Do you help financial advisors, kind of embed those in your website? Is that something you kind of incorporate? What and what are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, no, 100%. So one of the things all of our breakaway advisors get when they join us is what we call our breakaway package. And as part of that breakaway package, you actually have a 6 to 8 week series for your social media, email communication that goes out to all your clients that are joining, a social media post that talks about who you are, what services you're offering, right? Because it's literally you're launching a new business, right? And the people in your audience need to understand who you are and how you're showing up. And when it comes to videos, that works a couple of different ways. Some of our advisors, a lot of times, will actually have somebody local, that they're already working with, right? And we will help guide and come up with some of the scripting for you for those videos. We also have partners that we work with that specialize in focusing on financial advisors to help you come up with those videos as well.
I think that's for a breakaway financial advisor. If they're under protocol, there's a lot of latitude in terms of what you could say on the phone. But if it's a non-protocol transition, sometimes you're very limited in terms of the things that you can actually say on the phone to bring over a client. But there's
Yes.
no
Yep.
reason you can't have, an amazing website that once again just like really tells a story about why you're doing what you're doing and like what clients can gain and all of those different things. It's just another way to be able to tell your clients so much during a transition, without it actually like coming out of your own mouth or soliciting. And I've just seen it be so
Yes.
impactful with the advisors that I've been working with. I almost
Yeah.
make it a non-negotiable to push.
No, I completely agree. And one of the things that we also found through a study to be super valuable is just simply having some FAQs for those clients, right? I mean, because they're going to have a lot of questions, and what better way to already answer a lot of those questions right there, on the website, right when they come there, before they jump on a call with you, right? Because they're also looking to make sure those things align, right? You say one thing on the phone, what does your website say? You'll be shocked, right, of how deep people will go to try to figure things out because this is their money, right? This is their livelihood, that you're talking about.
100%. Hey, breaking in real quick. I really hope you're enjoying this episode and finding my YouTube channel of value. If you're a high performing financial advisor that can use somebody as a guide or a resource to explore all your transition options out there in the marketplace, I'm a non biased, independent transition consultant that can help make this process so much easier for you. And another plus, it costs absolutely nothing to work with me. If you want to have a conversation, please feel free to text, call, email, DM me. My contact information is all over this episode, and I'll let you get back to it. Along the way, what are some of the mistakes that you've seen advisors make with a website? Maybe they launched without you, or mistakes they were about to make that maybe you've guided them, away from doing that others should know about.
Yeah, no, 100%. So, one value add mistake that we've seen a lot of times, an advisor will just go to, something like Fiverr.com to get their logo done, right? And they quickly, just throw together a website that doesn't tell that story. And a lot of times that rate of bringing over your current clients drops dramatically. We've actually been studying this on clients that we bring over, the difference between because we have partnerships, right, where we can kind of compare some data points to see that advisors that are working with us tend to see a 30% lift in the amount of clients that they were hoping to transition over because they did have that solid brand, right? So having that solid brand in place is a really big factor in that. The other really big nugget, like I said, I'll give out is really having the SEO in place. Because again, what happens when they go to Google? What shows up? Like, is your Google Map pack showing up to where your business is showing up on the side? Is your face actually showing up in the organic rankings? Right? Is your team showing up? All of those things are super, super valuable to helping not only to build that confidence, but also to start attracting clients that didn't hear about you, right? Before then. We've had that happen. We had a couple of our clients just like, oh, wow, we just got some new leads in, right? Why? Because they were able to be found, through organic search on Google.
All right, and you're also helping with brochures, things like that as well, or is it just the digital presence?
Yeah, so we're a full service agency, right? So think about if you're breaking away, we're going to make sure that you have everything that you can need as a new business starting out, right? You mentioned brochures, business cards, letterheads, envelopes, all of those things that you're going to need for your brand. We create those.
So David, you've been working with a financial advisor, for months now. You're building the marketing strategy. The website's kind of starting to take shape. The join date that a financial advisor is breaking away, is coming up. How do you work with a financial advisor to actually launch the website when they resign?
Yeah, no, 100%. So everything we do starts from the targeted launch date and we work backwards, right? So we do things like factor in, design time, content time, compliance time, right? So we always have that compliance time factored into there as well. Getting closer towards that launch day, the biggest thing we're looking for is to make sure that number one, all your digital assets are in place, right? All your social media channels, that your website is connected, that your domain name is corrected properly, so that your emails are ready to be up and going, right? Once that transition date happen. And typically, what we see, usually about a couple weeks out, right? We do help support our advisors from a compliance perspective as well. Some of them will work with the compliance team directly. A lot of times, we'll work directly with their compliance team again, just to kind of save that headache. Some of the make mistakes that I've seen made is them not waiting to that actual launch date, that targeted date to where they've actually resigned, waiting till their license is actually moved over, right? You can run into some challenges depending on, if you're a tuck in. If you are a tuck in, right, you have to really check and figure out like, what their compliance rules are when it comes to things like that. So we've kind of seen those mistakes. And so we kind of help navigate advisors through that, making sure that they launch properly and that things are successful from day one.
That's great. And I didn't even think about that. That's a huge time saver for financial advisors because even if you have, the best website designer in the world and they build this awesome website, if something on there isn't compliant and it needs a bunch of revisions, I mean, that could really, push back your timelines where I know you're working with, a lot of the top RIAs and independent broker dealers. And once again,
Yep.
just because you kind of understand the business a little bit better than most, there could be a lot of efficiencies there to kind of get it right, the first time and not have to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you bring up a really good point. So, working with some of the broker dealers, we already understand some of their rules, and that even comes to branding, right? Sometimes, I mean, we've seen this happen where someone's created the logo for them, but it won't make it through compliance, right? Whether it's because the naming convention, whether it's because the design of it is like promissory because of the trends in the logo, right? It's those little subtle things that the more you understand from a compliance perspective, getting those disclosures correctly, it saves so much time and so much headache. Doing it with agencies that have no experience in financial services, which I have a couple of clients that have experienced that before. It's like night and day for them from a time perspective and efficiency.
So let's walk through, after the transition now. Launch website is created. We fast forward 6 months. They've had, a really good transition. And now they're on to, you know, continuing to build trust and referrals on their website and beyond. How are you helping from there if they're still a client?
Yeah, no, 100%. So different advisors are at different stages of their journey, right? Some advisors we've worked with right after launch, they're really pretty much ready to go after acquiring new customers, right? A lot of times we encourage them to really spend that time to focus on their current clients, their, new RIA or broker dealer that they're under. We usually encourage them those first 3 to 6 months to like make sure like you understand your business, right? And then from a marketing and ongoing services standpoint, most of our clients will sign up for us to out of the gate to manage their social media, right? Because they're not going to have time for that. So from that launch day, after their 6 weeks is over, most will sign up for the social media, which may be LinkedIn or Facebook. Even some advisors will have us manage their personal as well, which we can do. Again, depending on some of their compliance and how that's set up. And then what we really encourage advisors to do is brand awareness, right? You literally just launch an entirely new brand. No one knows who you are, right? When you worked for Edward Jones or whoever named UBS of the world, they know those household names, right? And so your conversion rate when having conversations is so much higher because people already know who they are. Brand awareness is simple things like, ads, right? Have a little bit of budget to advertise, whether that is on Facebook or Google or LinkedIn, to make sure that your presence is showing up. SEO, right? When people go do searches for a financial advisor near me, are you showing up, right? And so we're helping them, with that SEO piece as well. So that brand awareness is like that first stage. And then next is lead nurturing, right? How do you get people in the funnel? And I'm not talking about like the hard sell yet, right? Like, again, this is still part of that brand awareness phase, getting people to download something on your website, right? Now you've captured some basic information, their first name, last name, and the email address. And so you're able to nurture them to the point to where they're getting to know you, right? Because we're in a know you, like you, trust you industry. And you want to build that trust with this new business that you've created. So then when you do hit the ground running with a strong lead generation strategy where you're trying to bring on new clients, you have a much stronger foundation to go off of.
For sure. And I think that's super valuable to have the launch and the ongoing support because, just for, one of the clients we're working on together, they're coming from a firm where they have no ability to differentiate themselves from the other, 20 advisors that are in their city. I mean,
Yep.
any type, even on their bios, having the ability to put like anything personal or what their niche is or what they're focused on just isn't being able to approve by compliance. And all of a
Yep.
sudden, soon they're going to be launched into this independent space where they have so much more latitude on Facebook, on YouTube, on
Yes.
Instagram, on LinkedIn, on their website, Google Ads, all of these
Yep.
different things. And I think it's just really important to have someone to like kind of hit the ground running, with all of those different things because they've been growing, despite all of those limitations. And now that they really have the ability once again to like let their value and uniqueness shine through, I mean, it's going to be just next level growth.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Yeah, and we're strategists as well, right? So we're going to help the advisor actually with a strategy, right? You're not just going and buying a website or buying a brand. We sit down to try to understand your goals and what you're trying to accomplish and when you're trying to accomplish those goals by, which helps us think more about, what are the things that you really should be doing right now, right? Like, do you need to be focusing your energy and your efforts on paid ads when you probably should be focused more of your energy on SEO, right? You're looking to go into growth mode in 12 months and not 6 months. So SEO is a really good strategy for you because it's one of those things that slow build over time and has the highest ROI.
That's awesome. It's really great that advisors have someone to be able to walk them through all of this and just hit the ground running. David, I can't tell you how many people I know that have like launched a business, like $2 million plus producers without even launching a website first. So I
Wow.
I I,
Wow.
I think I think this is fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. No, I appreciate you having me on there. This is great.
Where do people get in touch with you if they want to have a conversation?
Yes. So you can go follow me on LinkedIn. It's a really good way to get to know me, to start building that relationship. Or you can go to azella.io. That's our website. You can find any of the information that you're looking for on there, whether it's our branding services or our ongoing marketing support, or our breakaway support.
Awesome. I really, really appreciate the time. And if anyone has any questions about the marketplace in general, the broker dealer, the RIA world, please reach out. A lot of people don't know that you choosing which firm you're going with, it's really only the beginning of the decisions and the people that you need to leverage to have a successful transition, whether it's marketing, advertising, ongoing marketing afterwards, legal representation. Based off of what firm you're coming from, there's just truly people out there that we've built relationships over the years that are going to do a better job with you because they've helped lift so many people out of the place that you're coming from. So please reach out, leverage our experience and our network. And David, once again, really appreciate it. And I hope you have an awesome day.
Thanks, man.